Hi, I'm Ellen Jones and I'm going to be taking you through some of my top queer book recommendations. I'm the author of Outrage and a campaigner in LGBTQ+ rights. My first recommendation is, of course, my book Outrage. I wrote Outrage to galvanise the people who care about LGBTQ+ issues but aren't necessarily doing anything about it, or feel concerned or confused or don't understand that it affects them and that there are things that they can be doing to drive change. Throughout the book, I go through different areas of life, from education to parenting to healthcare to sports, and I look at the different challenges LGBTQ+ people are facing in the UK and around the globe. Most importantly, I give recommendations of things people can do to actively change things and recommendations of people to follow who are already doing this work. So my next book is The Pink Line, The World's Queer Frontiers by Mark Gevisser, and this is a very, very well-worn, very, very well-loved copy. This is a book that explores the lives of LGBTQ+ people across the globe. It was written over the best part of a decade and goes into great details about people's lived experiences, and it really, really informed the book that I wrote and the stories that I wanted to tell, not just charting the politics of how LGBTQ+ rights and equality have changed, but the tangible and practical impacts it had on people's lives. It's written with such care and sensitivity, whilst also acknowledging that people are flawed and complex, and I really, really value that in this book. This is Trumpet by Jackie Kay. Now, I love this book and I have read it a number of times over the years. What I love is that this is a book which ostensibly is about a trans person who's only revealed to be trans after they have died. This is a book written in 1998. It's a book that was available to read whilst I was growing up, at a time when lots and lots of other queer and trans texts were hidden as a result of Section 28. And I remember reading this and finding this and sort of discovering that trans people existed, that this was something that had occurred, because when I was at school it was still very much not discussed and very much hidden. Jackie Kay is obviously an icon of LGBT literature, but also of British literature, and I think if you're looking for something really accessible that you could give to someone who maybe doesn't understand LGBT matters and wants a story that exists outside of a character's trans identity and is about family and is about grief and navigating those things, I'd recommend this book highly. So this is Queer Art, From Canvas to Club and the Spaces Between by Gemma Rolls-Bentley. I was always someone who was really, really intimidated by art and the art world, and actually what this book has given me is not only an insight into the breadth of queer art as it exists, but how much of the art world is queer, has been queer and has always been queer, and how influential and impactful the LGBTQ+ community have been, even if that's been overlooked by the industry and institutions. This book covers everything from homes and landscapes to more sexual and erotic imagery. It's a book that really, really gives you a grounding with accessible language, with easy to understand, and yet not diminishing any of the complexity of the subjects that it covers. As a lesbian living by the sea, the one thing I feel very, very passionately about is mermaids and lesbian representation in books. And this is where Julia Armfield comes in. This is Julia's probably best known book, Our Wives Under the Sea, and it explores this queer relationship, grief, the ocean, and all these different themes that have come to me in so much of my life. I don't want to give too much away about it, but I was heartbroken and slightly bereft when it ended. I have adored Melissa Broder's work since I was literally about 18 years old, and this is my favourite book of hers, Milkfed. This is a book that is about desire, it is about queerness, it is about eating disorders and mental health, motherhood, and the things you inherit from your family. And frankly, it's the book that I thrust into the palms of everyone I come across when they happen to be in the local bookshop. This is the book you read when you want something incredibly intense, incredibly spicy, incredibly insular in its world, and it's about people navigating the world in their own brains. If you like that interiority, you will love this book. This is a book that I don't see people talking about very much, and it's Hetero Activism, Resisting Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual and Trans Rights and Equalities. And this is a book that was published in 2020 and which predicts in its political analysis many of the things that have come to pass in terms of the attacks on reproductive justice, women's rights, LGBT rights, and particularly trans rights. This is a book that really, really clearly and in really understandable language dissects who the people are attacking these rights and this equality, who they're funded by, where they came from, what their goals are, and provides a really useful framework for deconstructing those arguments. It's a book that I think everybody who's got an interest in equality in any form should read, and it's something that I really hope more people will come to understand, that rights and equalities aren't separate, they are interconnected, and the things that affect the LGBT community affect all of us. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to find more of me, you can go to instagram.com/Ellen__Jones, where you can find lots more about how you can show up for the LGBTQ plus community. You can of course also pick up my book Outrage at all good bookshops.